am Hawkinsimmer, and today we are doing another speed build. Yay! If you're not new here, this is the first time I'm recording a video without saying the number of the video, so the intro feels kind of weird and like empty and naked, but we're out here, we're trying new things, doing new stuff, and that includes this speed build. So of course I've done a billion speed builds. As you can see on my channel, I've done 50 some odd at this point, and I don't know because I'm not counting anymore. But this one's a little bit different because this build is actually more of a fixer-upper. I have mentioned before that one of my favorite Sims YouTubers is Lilsimsie I, and she has a series on her channel where she asks her subscribers, which is me, to post videos to the gallery with the hashtag #FixMeLilsimsie, and then she'll go through and fix up your build, basically. So I am submitting this build to that hashtag. I'm sure she gets literally hundreds of thousands of entries all the time, so I doubt that this one would ever end up on her thing, but I thought it would be fun to build something like this. So usually the builds that she gets submitted are like old homes that have some kind of fun backstory and are just gross, and they have gross clutter and like gross dishes and nasty looking, landscaping hanging around. So I thought I could probably maybe do that. I recently got into using Debug, and Debug has a lot of gross things that you can add to a build to make it look kind of run down. So here I am, just kind of doing that. So I'm calling this house the Smelly 70s house. Kayla a lot of times will be like, ooh, it's so smelly, it's so gross when she's like doing a home. So I don't know, I like alliteration, so I decided to call it the Smelly 70s house. It is a ranch home that's kind of mid-century modern vibes, and it has 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, a laundry room, an open layout, and a conversation pit, which was kind of a big thing in the 70s. It's something that you can do now that we have, platforms and stuff. So I don't know, I did a lot of like looking at 70s homes on Pinterest and on Google, and there were conversation pits, and of course that's one of those things that like I think is representative of the 70s, but only like the rich and affluent 70s, if that makes sense. But I did include one, and yeah, so the outside took the longest part for sure to do. I wanted there to be lots of gross landscaping, and I wanted the pool to look nasty because I do have a backstory. So my idea for the Smelly 70s family is that they were big partiers, and this is just a big party house. I'm building on this lot that kind of sits up in the corner of Willow Creek, and I just thought this was a big party house that overlooked the town, and they lived up on this hill, and I don't know, rich and fancy and whatever. But how were they so rich and fancy and whatever? My idea is that these people were involved in some sort of illegal activities that I am not at liberty to describe to you here now. And maybe these criminals had a few kids in this home, and they're family people, but they just couldn't escape the law and they had to go on the run. So they left their home completely trashed, but not without the potential of some hidden money. So there is hidden money in this home. Of course, in this speed build, you'll literally watch me place it. But, if you were just coming into this mess, you might uncover a small fortune left behind by the parents for their children to come back to someday. And that day is today. So I imagine that the daughter of these criminals has come back to Willow Creek to claim what is hers. Her parents have been gone for as long as she can remember, but they have left her this home and all of its contents. And rumor has it that the contents include a small fortune left behind from their days of being criminals. But she's not sure. She has no idea whether or not that's true. She's just ready to get in here and see what's up. Like I said, she's all grown up and has a family of her own now, a husband and 2 children, a child and an infant. So she has big plans for this home and making it a family home and reclaiming her family property. So this was a lot of fun. And like I said, I've really never done this before. It was fun to landscape all of this and use all this debug landscaping from University and Jungle Adventure to make it look like it was overgrown. But the truth is I kind of like an overgrown look. I love houses that have like ivy growing up the sides. So I'm kind of into this look. And while this work was kind of tedious, I honestly thought it was going to take a lot longer than it did, but it really didn't take me any longer than my regular landscaping. And that should tell you something. It should tell you that I spend way too much time landscaping my regular homes. But I had a lot of fun. I love this ivy. I think it looks pretty cool. And actually, I went ahead and fixer-uppered this house myself, and that'll be in an upcoming video. I totally wanted to see this house in my own real vision, and I guess that's kind of how I was able to do this part of it. I thought, gosh, I know what this could look like. So part of submitting these videos is having a bit of a backstory. So you have one now, but on this family for the fixer-upper, I am only giving Kayla a 10,000 simoleon budget. But hear me out. Like I said, the original owners of this home were party people. They had lots of money and lots of crap around the house. So my idea is that Kayla will have enough money to refinish this home with using all of the money she gains from deleting most of the furniture and the exterior stuff. And I know that this 10K budget seems small, but I also know that it can be done because I did it. Like I said, I went ahead and fixer-uppered this house the way I thought it could be done in an upcoming video. I really wanted there to be no renovation budget outside of what you gain from deleting everything in the house, but I got to the last room and needed an extra 10K. I didn't use the whole 10K, but I thought if I can get this done in under the extra 10K, then Kayla can definitely do that. So like I said, it's a 3-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom home. There's a master suite with a major, huge bathroom. But here I am just kind of doing that conversation pit. If you don't know what that is, this is it. It's a sunken space in the floor that's filled with pillows and couches, and usually like it's cozy and comfy and kind of small like this, but sometimes they're a whole like sunken living room can be considered a conversation pit. It really just depends. The 70s were all about experimenting, if you didn't know that already. But when I was thinking about doing this, I had it in my mind that I desperately wanted there to be like fish tanks. Something about having major aquariums screams the 70s to me. Am I alone in that? But anyway, I put in some fish tanks and then I used the things that you would use to make the walls look gross, and I just put them up against the fish tanks. And then I also used ivy and sized it down to make it look like algae had built up in it. And honestly, this is not far from the truth. Listen. Where I grew up, there was a house that sat empty for like 5-6 years before someone came and bought it. But we realized that the doors were unlocked. So we went over and went inside, and there was a fish tank that was so disgusting and so full of algae and green and nasty water, but there were 2 fish in it still alive. And my sister was determined to take these 2 fish home and make them her own pets, and one of them like immediately died as soon as she brought it home, and the other one, which was abnormally large, we have a feeling it ate all the other fish in the tank. It lived for a small while, but it did eventually die, which I thought was hilarious. My sister literally can't keep pets alive, and it is like literally the bane of her existence, and it's hilarious. But I just thought that this house needed to scream tacky. The 70s interior design was tacky overall. So I used lots of hideous floor and lots of hideous wallpaper. So in the bathroom, in the master bathroom, I used that, I guess it's a tile from Snowy Escape that makes it look like a mural of a mountain. And I just thought, that's pretty on brand. And I have a feeling that in the Snowy Escape world, it probably doesn't seem so tacky, but in this house, completely out of place, it is incredibly tacky. I wanted to use lots of like a pukey lime green color and that orange color. I just think that that's really on brand. And honestly, looking back, I'm a little disappointed that I didn't put like gross green carpet all over the house, but I did use lots of fun carpets throughout the bedrooms. I should have put carpet in the bathrooms now that I'm thinking about it. That seems really 70s to me too. I did use a lot of stuff from the Get Famous pack, and that's just because, like I said, these people had a lot of money and they were party people, so I imagine that they had pretty pretty expensive furnishings in their home. So I think that that's what's going to contribute the most to the fixer-upper budget if Kayla were to choose this to do. But I wanted there to still be some furniture, and I think I'm going to say in the gallery description that they want to be able to keep a couple of pieces from the original home and maybe refinish them to use in their new home as an homage to their old home. I feel like that's something that a lot of people do. When my husband and I were renovating this home, we wanted to be able to keep a few things, but that didn't really work out because it was a foreclosure and disgusting and really rough. But there was some shiplap in part of the house. We still have it, but we haven't actually found a project to use it for. But in this home where there is a bunch of furniture, could get money from pieces they don't want, but also refinish some vintage pieces for their new home. Here I am stacking some money in the refrigerator. I originally thought maybe this is where I would put the hidden money, but these little dollars really don't add up to much and they don't stack very well. So I just put a few stacks of these dollars in the refrigerator, but the real fortune is elsewhere in the home. But I really, really liked doing this. I thought it was so fun. I thought there'd be lots of mail stacked up. Like I said, the original owners just kind of disappeared without a trace, but I also kind of thought maybe there were like some squatters here while the house sat empty, like people came and partied, and that's why there's trash everywhere. So honestly, through and through, this house is just meant to be a party house, because I do imagine that this incoming family do like a, lavish lifestyle. I didn't really have careers picked out for them, but I definitely know that there's a child and an infant. So Kayla will need to build a room for a child and then a nursery. And I still think that the house is going to need some like quirky finishes. I'm not requiring her to keep the conversation pit, but it's definitely on the table. I kept the conversation pit and just swapped out the furniture in it. And I think that it really worked, honestly. Like, it's a little weird, but I think it's a conversation starter for people like, oh yeah, this was original to our home. But I don't know. I put in a bar, I put in a record player. I wanted to use really gaudy pieces of furniture. And, if Kayla thinks that those pieces maybe work, then she could definitely keep those. I ended up not keeping most of the furniture pieces. I think some of the only things that I really kept were more decorative pieces, and I just kind of moved them around. But I do think that there are some pieces in here that are reusable. I specifically kept those bar stools, and I actually kept them in that swatch. I imagine maybe they just, had them refinished. I think that they're kind of funky and quirky, but they're not so like an eyesore like some of these other items are. I definitely tried to use as many patterns and colors as I could. I think the 70s, like I said, is a little tacky, and I think that they mixed a lot of textures, so I tried to do that as well. I also included a card table kind of in the middle of the walkway area between the kitchen and the living area. Like I said, I think they were partiers. They probably, smoked inside and played cards. And oh yeah, the chandeliers. I wanted to use really crazy chandeliers, so those are super expensive too. So like I said, there's lots of money to be gained from doing this. You can see how much money I'm spending over and over and over again, but I use that crazy chandelier all throughout the house. And honestly, like pieces like that if you just use the one piece and then the rest of the house is kind of normal, it really doesn't look bad. But when you use 4 or 5 of them throughout the house and you have leopard carpets, yeah, it starts to be a little tacky for me. But the cool thing is that every bedroom has its own bathroom. The floor plan just worked, okay? It wasn't on purpose. The floor plan just really worked with that. So both bedrooms for the kids have their own bathrooms as well. I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but I am also putting in the description on the gallery that the couple loves the floor plan, the layout, the flow, and the size of this home. Yes, that means that Kayla will not be allowed to touch my walls, which is funny. If you're a Sims fan, if you've watched any of Kayla's videos where she does shell challenges, you are not allowed to touch the walls, and that's like a big thing. So I'm turning the tables a little bit, and I'm saying that Kayla can't touch any of these walls because she has a strong habit to immediately make a home smaller, and I don't want her to do that. So I'm gonna ask her not to. Honestly, it's kind of funny that I'm sitting here making up all of these rules. Like I said, she gets so many entries for this series that there's no chance she'll see mine, but it's still fun to kind of like think about what it would be. And I used these rules for myself when I renovated it. So, it's what it is. But we're doing the bedrooms now. I wanted them to be crazy. This master bedroom, I have never used these curtains. I've never used this bed, and I have never used this carpet. Honestly, that bed is the bed of my junior high dreams. I would have loved something like that. I had purple walls when I was in like the junior high era, and I actually had like a cheetah print bedspread that I was so in love with and just thought I was so cool. I think it's hilarious because when I got into like later in high school and in college, like I think the animal print really went out of style, but I think we're seeing it cycle back in again. I think cheetah and leopard print is super in right now, and I think that's hilarious. I didn't trash the bathrooms too much. I just made them look kind of ugly. And listen, if these things are your styles, if any of these wallpapers, if any of these floor tiles are your style, that's none of my business. This is just what I dislike. So I put all the things that I dislike in these homes. So I definitely thought that I showed myself putting in all the money bags on this build, but I reviewed the footage, and as it turns out, I didn't put that in. So you'll have to watch part 2 to figure out where the fortune is hiding. The rest of the build is kind of boring. I put a bed in because I know I wanted to use that in the final house, but this bedroom's just kind of plain. And then I moved on to the outside and I put a few more little bits and bobs in just to kind of clutter it up and make the yard look pretty gross. Of course, I have a bike leaned up against the house. I almost always have bikes in my builds now, but I just wanted to add a few more finishing touches. But we're really coming up on the screenshots now, so thank you all so much for watching this video. Please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I upload new videos every Monday and Thursday at around 4 p.m. So I will see you all in the next one. Bye!